welcome back. So today's video is on bike packing. I've had some really nice comments over the last few years on my bike packing trips. You've really enjoyed the videos, and I did promise that I would do a video on my setup. So here we are. I got into bike packing about 2 years ago now, I think. And as a beginner, a complete beginner, it was quite overwhelming as to where to start. So that's why I thought I would do this video on how did I get started in bike packing? How do you even go about it? What is the setup, and some of the mistakes that I have made that you can hopefully avoid. So with my home country being Scotland, there are amazing places to go bike packing here, and I've taken a few trips over the past couple of years, and there's so much more to explore, so I'm really excited. Hopefully get a lot in this year. But when I first started bike packing, actually it was because my brother said to me, "Do you fancy going to Slovenia?" And I was like, yes, that sounds amazing. And he said, there's a route we're going to do about 9 days through the mountains, and that just appealed to me. So that's where I started from. That was my initial motivation. I thought, right, we've got a while to plan for this. I can do some test runs in Scotland, test rides in Scotland, and get my stuff together, refine it over time, and then go for it. So a bit daunting. If you haven't seen the videos, I'll put links in the description below. So over the last couple of years, I've been to Sweden, Slovenia, and done about, a few handful of trips throughout Scotland as well, in some amazing places up in the Highlands. So let's start with, if you fancy trying bike packing, where do you start? You need to find what you want to do, what kind of bike packing do you want to do, what kind of bike do you need for that. So I particularly I like mountain biking, so if you watch a channel, you'll know most of our content is enduro racing, riding, trails, and I like incorporating that into bike packing where I can get a bit of single track and go up into the mountains. But some people prefer to do it more in road and gravel, so find the right bike for the job. For me, that's a 100mm travel full suspension bike, my Vitas Rapide, and it's perfect. I could maybe do with a little more travel in the fork, so I have been thinking of upgrading to a 120mm, but I have been talking about it for ages, so we'll just see. But once you know what style of bike packing you want to do, find your route, start with something straightforward. Bikepacking.com website is a great resource, and they publish a whole load of routes that are tried and tested, and you can see comments from people that have ridden them. You can get all the information on difficulty, elevation, camping, water, supplies, the whole lot. So definitely utilise that. That for me has been one of the main resources in terms of route planning. And there are also loads of other routes online, and you can use some of the route planner tools if you want to start with something more local through Komoot, Strava, all of the usual platforms for planning a ride. Maybe start with something for just even a one-nighter. Test out the kit, see how it performs, because obviously you do need some different things to get started. I really love bike packing abroad, particularly because it just enables you to experience a country in just so intimately in a totally different way.
I will not be cramping this evening.
Oh my god, it's getting a bit wobbly! Look at that. Ah! Lovely! So, let's start with my setup. Small bike issues are very much apparent. So I am 5'4", I do ride a small frame, but that means it's difficult to fit lots of kit on there, and especially for some of my longer trips. So, and particularly where you need kit to deal with all the different types of weather you can get. So we'll start with the handlebars. I started with a basic Alp kit, dry bag setup, strapped it on the bars and off I went. But over time, there was just a lot of rub. Then I had a harness, then that wasn't really coping too well with some of the rougher terrain. When, like I said, I like to do some single track, etc. So last year, I invested in this, and this has been amazing. So this is the Ortlieb bar bag, and it did come with integrated handlebar attachments. However, I had a clearance issue with the front tyre, and it was just rubbing when that suspension was compressed. So that was an issue, and I tested it out before I went on a trip and realised that wasn't going to do. So while I am really impressed with the bag, the waterproofing is second to none. It's a wee bit heavier, but having been out in some crazy rain in Slovenia, I knew that I wanted the waterproofing to be number one. It's got extra storage on here, and so it fits loads in it, and they do smaller ones if you want. So I should say I'm not supported by any of these companies. So yeah, great bag, but the clearance issue. So I was really stuck with what to do because I wanted to keep it, and that's where I found this amazing piece of kit, my Aero Spider. So this is a handlebar attachment, and it just attaches via clips on the back onto your bars, mount it as such, stick your bag on it, and you can tilt it any way you want. So that enabled me to get as much clearance as I wanted, and honestly this has been a total game changer. I really like it. So in the bar bag, I typically would put in my tent, some of my sleeping equipment. I learned on the first trip not to put in anything that I want to access regularly, because oh my gosh, you do not want to be packing and unpacking this thing. Nobody else wants you to be packing and unpacking this thing all the time. I think I pissed people off. So sleeping equipment all goes in here, plenty of space, handy. And then if we move on to frame bag. Now again, I just bought a top peak bag and attached it to the frame, and it did okay, but I had a lot of dead space in there, and especially when you've got a rear shock on your frame, the only real option to maximise the use of space is a custom frame bag. So I did a cardboard design and sent it off to Alpkit, and they returned this beautiful bag. You get to choose the material you want and the design, and it's fully customised. As you can see, it's got that cutout for my rear shock, so literally every inch of space is used. And I've got a document pocket as well, which is optional on the side. And then you can get loads in here. It's fantastic. So I typically would carry like maybe a meal, sunscreen, torch, some of the things that I might need to take out, snacks a bit more regularly. Put the tent poles in here to distribute the weight, because you don't want too much weight in your bars. So I really would recommend. Alpkit was fairly reasonable for the custom bag as well compared to some other options. And if you're starting out, you don't want to sink in loads of money. Most people don't anyway, I didn't. So I found this a good compromise. I do also have an Apidura top tube bag. I did have their down tube bag that was supposed to be waterproof, and honestly the water was coming straight away, so I wasn't impressed. I did warranty it and they did honour that, which was great, and then I used the voucher to buy myself the top tube bag, which is waterproof, and that's great. That again, you can just fit quite a lot in there, your phone, maybe a power bank, you can charge things on the go. And then on the bars, I also have a couple of these bottle bags. Now I find actually it's quite handy for storing snacks around the edges, or again just anything you want to have on the go, you can pop in there. The saddle bag. So this is not too expensive. It's a top peak saddle pack, and what I like about it is the shell's not waterproof, it's resistant, but you've got a dry bag that you can take in and out. So it means that you can leave this attached onto your bike and just take out the dry bag each day, not have to repack the entire thing. And then you've got a good bit of space in here for just whatever you want to carry. Towel, chamois cream, essential, and the rest. So that in a nutshell is my setup. Carrying water is one of the hardest things I've found, because if you're not going to have water for access for a couple of days, you do need to carry quite a lot when you think about how much you're going to sweat during the day, plus if you want a coffee in the morning or cook something at night, your dried meal. So to be honest, I was trying to avoid a backpack, but for me, especially with a small frame, it's just, yeah, I need it. So I bought myself a Camelback hydration pack, and that holds up to 2 litres of water. And then, as I said, you can top it up with these bottle bags as you need to. It doesn't really interfere too much because it is quite a lightweight pack. So these hydration packs are handy. Sleeping kit wise, I will show you what I've got. So, got a camping mat. It's the Robins Prima Vapor 40 Prima Loft insulation. I think it's worth having a good camping mat for a good night's sleep, even if it's slightly heavier. Having a bit of insulation, particularly if you're going to be anywhere where the temperature might get down a bit cooler, just make sure you've got something that you will be warm, because you do lose a lot of heat through the ground. And then tent. So I've gone for an Alp Kit tent. Again, it's the Soloist. Great tent. Waterproof, so easy and quick to put up, and just, it's not the lightest, but it's the best I can get for the money, without spending like 500 quid on a tent. So really happy with this. And then sleeping bag, I went for a 3-season Alp Kit sleeping bag, and that is, again, it's Prima Loft, so it's got insulation, it's really light, it's so easy to pack in. You can just stuff it in any old way and put it into your bag. Ease of packing and how quick you can pack things up is definitely something to consider. So yeah, it's very much getting a balance between how much you want to spend and how light you want to go, and compromising in the right places. Definitely I'd say tent and sleeping bag, get something relatively light. And with the kit, I feel like with my bags, I've not needed to spend an insane amount to get some really good quality bags. So I think this is my ideal setup now. I'm really happy and I'm really excited about trips this year. What advice would I give you if you're starting out? Well, here's a mistake, the biggest mistake I made on my first trip. I turned up in Slovenia. My bike to start with was about 12 kilos actually, that bike. It was really light, and then it had carbon wheels, everything, and then I whacked all this kit that I bought on it, and like I said, huge heavy tent, sleeping bag, everything. And I took 2 power banks because I had 9 days and I was worried I wouldn't be able to recharge. Being a vlogger, I took 2 GoPros. Again, to take extra batteries. And by the time you added in all these extras, I was also worried about food. Even though there were supply stops everywhere, I didn't really think about that too much and just thought, it's better to have more. I took like 15 Cliff Bars, and when I actually added up all those kilos, it's pretty insane. So this bike went up to like 25, 26 kilos, and it was awful. I remember pedaling in the first day in like 35-degree heat, and just all I could think about was getting to a post office and sending half of my stuff home. So less is more. Think if you need even that extra pair of socks, just consider everything, because once you add up all these wee bits of weight, it really adds up to quite a weight on the bike, and it will result in harder days on the pedals, particularly if you've got a lot of elevation. Second thing, pick an easy route to start with. I was going to get out and test all my kit properly before I went, but then time ran away in summer, did far too many trails and enduro races, and then didn't get a free long weekend to do a proper test of the kit. So ended up camping in the garden, so at least something, and took all the kit loaded up on the bike for a few rides. That is really important, and it probably would have avoided me I wouldn't have taken as much stuff to Slovenia if I'd known how bad it was going to be. Go and do a test ride. You'll also find that you might get rub in certain parts of your frame, so make sure that you've protected the frame properly. That's another thing. I did actually take tape with me, because I found a few places where bags were rubbing or pushing cables and they were rubbing on the frame, and you don't want to end up with your bike just looking horrendous once you take the bags back off. So I'd recommend that test run and check all that rub. Lastly, if you're going somewhere wet, make sure you've got a good waterproof. And this is just generally, but if you haven't done bike packing before, that means extended time on the bike. And for us in Slovenia, that was back-to-back days. And if you get wet, you can't just, go dry off and it'll be fine the next day. If you're camping, everything's going to stay wet. I thought I'd invested in a good waterproof. I had the Endura singletrack too, which I thought was okay for what I was going to get out in Slovenia. But no, it rained non-stop. It was insane that year. We got like crazy amounts, and it was relentless. It was like 3 full days, day and night of rain, and the jacket soaked through, and I had to end up going to a sports shop to try and find another one. So I invested in an Endura MT500, and that's what Gavin had on that holiday and kept him dry. So just, yeah, do a bit of research. Ideally, if you can get something Gore-Tex, these kind of things are worth it, because yeah, it got really miserable just being completely soaked through for days on end there, and that would have been such a game changer. So this year I don't have any fixed plans for going abroad in the summer for bike packing, but we're talking about a few options, so let's see. Definitely going to be going throughout Scotland, and hopefully in the Lake District as well, for some long weekend bike packing trips, which I'm excited about. And I would absolutely love to get across to the Isles up in the Highlands and explore some of those. So watch this space. Hit subscribe if you're new to the channel. I do have a bike packing playlist, and I will be adding those throughout the year, combined with our usual trail riding and adventures throughout Scotland and beyond. Any comments you do have, drop them below, and I will try my best to answer based on my experience. And happy riding!